Are you curious about bodies, pleasure, and possibilities? And what about curious about what others are up to on the planet when it comes to pleasure, sex, and play? Have you considered what pleasure can do for your life, your body, and your bank account? Do you know something magical, delightful, and out of this world orgasmic is not only possible for you, but totally available to you? If you're ready to be the magical, sexual, sexy beast you know you can be, and you just need the tools to get there, you're in the right place. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, sensual movement artist, relationship and sex alchemist, Milica Jelenic.
Welcome, my sweet pleasure seekers. Today is all about play, because why not? Every once in a while, we need to bring in play. We've had lots of shows about trauma and lots of shows about other things for a while. And I needed to bring back some play. Play is super important, actually. It's part of the healing process. It's part of what children do to heal. So you'll find that kids will play if given permission, and adults won't. So yes, it's even actually in line with some of the trauma stuff. However, this is the next. It's like getting to the other side of the hill and learning how to play and learning how to enjoy life. And why not have a kit to help you do it? So what are some of the reasons why we would create a pleasure toolkit? Well, for me, the benefits of creating a pleasure play kit or a pleasure toolkit, whatever you want to call it, adult play kit, is we have a few reasons we do this. One, if you run out of ideas and you're feeling like your sex life is getting a bit like stale toast, you're like, yeah, I don't know, I don't have any ideas left. If you have your pleasure play kit, you always have some go-tos that you can check out and add. You can just add it to your everyday sex. So even if you're having your standard 5 positions, and as is done in a monogamous heterosexual relationship, you got standard 5. If you're having that and you want to switch it up, and you can have those standard 5, but let's say you add something to it from your toolkit. One of the things you might want to add to it could be a mask, so that you could wear that, and sensory deprivation, or changing up the sensory experience. So you can add a mask to the experience. And even though you might be doing all those same positions, it'll have a different response. Your body will have a new experience with it because now your eyes are covered, right? So why do we do this? It's to create some change, some difference, some excitement, maybe adding a little something to the relationship. So another reason to have a play kit is just for the sake of having fun. And like, you're actually allowed to have fun in sex. I know, shut the front door, whoever said we were allowed to have fun in sex. Sex is incredibly serious, should only be done under the supervision of God. And yes, cool, all of that. and have some fun. Have some fun. So what if you can have all the fun in the world and it's respectful to your partner, respectful to you, or partners, whatever you've got going on in your life, and you can have all kinds of fun. I have all these like toys set up on my desk right now, and I'm super distracted by them because they're so fun. But I will show them to you shortly. We'll be going through all of these toys. Part of what we're doing with a pleasure play kit and creating a pleasure play kit is to also check out and see what are some things that you're curious about. So in creating a pleasure play kit, the things that you might be curious about might involve locations. So that might not be in your kit, but what you can put in your kit is that you can write down locations. So you can have within your kit. So I have a clear box. Could show you guys if you're on video. I have like this lovely clear box that holds a lot of stuff, and I can put all my pleasure. I mean, I got a lot more than that, but that's like a go-to easy box. It's got like all the necessities in it. So you can have your easy to go to box. And if you've got that, if you've got your easy to go to box, then what you're going to do is you're going to access it. So it could be in your bedroom, under your bed. It could be in your closet. It could be somewhere where you normally are having fun loving with your partner. And you have it there, or you have it in somewhere that you know you can access. And then when you go to have fun wherever you're having it, you have easy access to it. So let's get back to what we're going to have in this box. So one of the things we might want to discuss locations. So you can have a little jar in there, like a little mason jar. And then in it, you can write down 5 locations that you'd like to have sex in, 5 locations that your partner would like to have sex in. You can discuss these in advance. You can actually use my do's, don'ts, maybes list to do that, to write down and negotiate places you'd like to have sex, places you definitely don't want to have sex, and places you're willing to negotiate that you're not sure. Like, I don't know, your children's principal's office. I don't know. You might want to negotiate that one. It might not be top of your list. So you might want to negotiate that because you might get caught. So if you have your lists, and all partners, 2 or more, whatever you got involved, have your list of where you'd like to, where you'd not like to, and where you're willing to negotiate. Whatever you've got in common or that you've both agreed to, you can put that in your jar of the places that are your do's. So in that list too, you might find that there are some things you'd like to add. There might be some things with impact play. So you might, for example, say, hey, I'd like to have some impact play. And what does that mean? Well, it can involve anything that involves impact. You've got your hand that can, have impact play, like spanking is type of impact play. You can use any of these fun tools like whips for that. And these ones are not super strong, but they can give a little impact, and they don't, unless you're really whipping hard, you're not going to leave bruises with some of these softer ones. There's a lot of different ones on the market, so it depends on what you'd like. So on that list of yours, you'll probably find that between you and your partner, there are things that you both agree on, and there may be things in the column of no way that you don't agree on. Your partner might say yes, 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 but you're like, no way, Jose, I don't want that. That's when negotiation ends, because you're a no, no, no. If you're a definite no and your partner's a definite yes, that just gets removed. But if you're a maybe on the things that are there, yes, yes, yeses, there's room for negotiation. These lists can always you can always go back to them and rewrite them, because it can change, and your list and your preferences can change over time. So don't assume that the do's, don'ts, maybe list is a one and done. Definitely get it off my site, milicajelenic.com. It's free, and you can use it to be able to navigate some of the things that you're interested in, and even just write them down. Especially if the conversation is tricky for you, then it's written down and you can share that list with your partner and you can exchange notes, making it really easy. So we're looking at different things on the list of locations and things you might like to do. And the things you might like to do, I encourage you to look at all the different senses that you're aware of. The top 5 that you learned in grade school, not necessarily getting into things like interoception and proprioception. We don't have to get that extreme, although those will probably come into play anyway. So looking at the top 5 senses, write down one of the smells that you really like to smell. And for some people, it's their partner's body. Like, I love the smell of my husband's armpits. It's like the most delightful smell ever. Yes, I just said this on Facebook Live and to the world, but it's true. And some people really love the smell of their partner's genitals, and they just want to dive in there, and it's like the most delightful smell they've ever smelled. And some people like neither of those, and they like perfumes instead. And so they want different scents involved, whether that's colognes or whether that's like essential oils. So you can bring in different things so that you're invoking or you are turning on, so arousing, that's the word. You're arousing your different senses. And the reason why we are arousing senses with the smells that we like is because smells are often connected to a lot of memories and different events, life events. So if we have smells that help us to feel calm and happy, then our bodies will automatically start to relax. And the best sex is done when you're actually relaxed. It's not when you're stressed and you need to just relieve yourself, although that can be a great stress relief as long as both parties understand that, or all parties involved understand that that's the target stress relief, because stress relief sex ends up usually being quite quick and doesn't have a lot of connection going on. It's really just it's just a method of like exercise to get the happy hormones going and get some endorphins going as part of the happy hormones, but get some of these happy hormones going in your body so that you can reduce your stress levels. Now, if you're having sex from where you're calm, you're going to be far more connected and in touch and grounded. So your body is going to have a different response, and you're also going to have a much more intense sexual experience when you're calm. So having a scent that can calm you can be really helpful. Some scents that are supposed to be calming don't calm everyone. Like smelling lavender doesn't actually calm me down when it's in an oil, but the smell of lavender in a plant does calm me down. So I have lavender plants in my garden and I can rub that and I love that. But when it's been processed into an oil, it quite agitates me. So maybe I just need like a really heavy duty, good version of it. So moving around here. All right. So smell. So you might want to do smell with any kind of scent on your body. If your partner is like completely attracted to a certain smell, you might want to burn a candle. So I love getting these, I get these candles from my local, there's a local shop and the woman creates these great artisanal candles. And this one is a Canadian flavored candle called Maple Dip Donut. And it does smell like a maple dip donut. It's fabulous. So getting some candles, getting some scents, incense even, or, you know, any of those like scent burners, they can kind of create the mood as well. Having your body smell attractive for your partner is helpful as well. So it helps that if you're going to have the smell on, it doesn't create aggravation in you, and that it also is a smell that arouses your partner. So negotiating some smells can help. And one smell on you can smell different on, so if your partner likes a certain perfume on others, it might not smell the same on you. So it's a good thing to test them out and see how you feel with it, and then find smells that work for you. So we're going to look at all those senses, right? So we've got smell, and what do you want to see? So part of your pleasure play kit will involve things that you like to see visually or not. You might actually want to have one of the masks that you can wear that you can just block off your sight, and which has some of your other senses a little bit more heightened sometimes. So with sight, it can be also what you're wearing. So in that pleasure play kit, you might have some things that you could wear. Nipple clamps can be one of them. They're great for a look. Sometimes in your pleasure play kit, you might want to put things that are like your favorite lingerie that's just there and ready to go, unless you have like a whole other box for your, or a whole other drawer for your lingerie and you already know where it is and it's a go-to. But this is actually like a really good travel kit too. So if you're going somewhere and you can have like your lingerie and you can have all your fun travel things with you. And you can also have, you can have it visually, just wearing it for your partner. So things in your pleasure play kit might not sit in the box, but they can. They're part of what we'll just umbrella call your pleasure play kit. So if you know what's in your pleasure play kit, if you even forget what some of the things are, you can write them and put them in the jar, right? It's like location could be, let's say the kitchen, and then another thing that might come out of that jar could be, so you might have locations for one jar, and another jar could be things that you want to add to that, whether it's toys or lingerie or a whole bunch of things, and you can pick a bunch of things out of that jar. So your ideas can go in the pleasure play kit for sure. So things like lingerie can go into a separate jar as things that you'd like to experience. Same with scents, they can go the different scents that you like. The ideas of those scents can go in the jar. Like today you're wearing this perfume and this lingerie, or, you know, whatever, this gimp suit or whatever it happens to be, it goes in the jar. And then nipple clamps, all of it, name them, put them on a piece of paper, they go in the jar, and then you go to pick out your thing, your locations and your things, and then you have your ideas, right? So sometimes if you forget, when you're in the mood, if you write them down, add them to the jar, you're going to have more and more ideas. So your pleasure play kit can grow over time as well. You can always keep adding to it. We're actually going to head to our first commercial break. So you're listening to the Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email. info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. Tonight we are talking about creating a curiosity kind of play kit for adults, because who doesn't need a play kit? I was going to pull out my bubbles because that seemed fun, and then I realized that they were leaking, so you can just get some regular old bubbles from the dollar store, but mine were leaking because I don't think we put the lid on correctly. And you know what? You could have a lot of fun with bubbles, just blowing them for fun to create a whole atmosphere in the bedroom. What a great sight. What a great feeling. You could blow them on each other's bodies. You wouldn't want to lick them after that. And definitely visually, it can be appealing too. So when I say play kit, I mean have fun, like truly play. It doesn't have to be all the things that you bought at the sex shop, right? It can be dollar store items like the bubbles that you can have just as much fun with them, along with, you could get more expensive bubbles. You can make your own with glycerin if you want, and then just use those. Those are, body safe and all that jazz. Face paints. Oh, the things you can do visually. So if you do have face paints, you can paint each other's bodies. You can, I just, a million ideas coming through my head right now. So in your pleasure play kit, you can have actual face paints because you can put them anywhere on the body. You can also get paints that are edible. So there are ones that are at sex shops that are like edible. They're more like chocolate, and they have a whole bunch of shelf stabilizers in them to make them last forever. You can make your own. So you could absolutely make your own chocolate sauce. If you don't know how, look up a recipe for chocolate sauce. Basically, it's chocolate and milk. And if you have dairy allergies, you can use other things like cocoa and some fats and cocoa fats and all kinds of things, and make your own chocolate sauce. Paint it on with brushes because that feels amazing. You can paint it on with fingers, brushes. You can lick it on each other's bodies. I'm like going from visual um, to gustatory, like your taste buds. So some of these are like all across the board. They can involve all of the things. So you can get the visual, the smell, the taste, from chocolate sauce, you get the visual, the smell, the taste, even the touch. You might really like the feeling of it in your fingers. You just might not hear it, although you might. Who knows? You might be that sensitive. So painting with any of these things, so delightful. Let's just tap into that for a second. How much fun could you have painting a canvas of delightful images all over your lover's body, painting things like I love you all over their boobs, and painting things like your sexy butt on their bum, or flowers and hearts and unicorns, whatever turns you on. If you're into gore, maybe skeletons and skulls, whatever floats your boat. So you can have a lot of fun, and it's not always penetration related. What? The play kit doesn't always mean penetration. This is about play and playing with your partner. So you don't have to be serious. Sex does not have to be the most serious action you've ever had in your life. And sex doesn't mean penetration. It just doesn't. It's a very big umbrella of what sex is. So you can absolutely have penetration included in that. It's not the end all be all. You can be an incredibly sexual person, and you may not have ever even had sex, but you've done everything else under the sun. But penetration was never your thing. You might have been tied up, had burning oils poured on you. You might have had every kink under the sun, and you may have never had penetration. So that is incredibly sexual, what the experience of the person who's had everything under the sun except penetration could be having. So it's not what validates sex. So when we're adding for the play kit, this is really about play. And everything under our play kit is about having more pleasure. And pleasure comes from evoking and arousing our senses. So, not just our normal 5, but we're going to just talk about the 5 today. So how do we arouse those senses? We bring in things that delight our body and that will get us excited. So I know we've talked about this many times before, the difference between sexual arousers and sexual inhibitors. And you want to make sure everything that you're bringing to the table is a sexual arouser for that day. And it can change, right? So we've got our jars. Let's recap. We've got our kit. Could be a box. It could just be a theory of a box, just theoretical kit. And you can have in it actual jars or metaphorical jars. So in the actual jars, I like mason jars, they're my favorite. You can have inside one of the jars locations that you and your partners have agreed on. In your other kit, you can have all accessories, things like nipple clamps, lingerie, rope, all of the things you could wear, blindfold, you name it. So that could go in another kit. Accessories, you could even add specifically some other toys to that too. Like you have another jar with other toys as well. You could have like all your impact toys, like your whips. You could have other toys like your penetration toys, like dildos and other things. You could have vibrators in there too. So you can imagine if you have a pleasure kit and you have access to all of these things, because a lot of these things you may already have in your home. You just have to gather them up. Most of your kit can be theoretical if you don't have it. And they can be things that when you pull things out of your kit and you don't have it and you'd like to try it, then by all means, go get those things and have them available and ready. So the theoretical kit with all the ideas is an amazing way to start, because you can have so many combinations. You hear me? Like if you have 10 locations and you've got 10 accessories and you've got 10 toys, whether, penetration toys or impact toys or whatever, vibrators, you've got all these combinations, right? So you've got like in the bedroom, then we've got an accessory, nipple clamps, then we've got toy, which is vibrator. Cool, that's one scenario, but you could also have bedroom. I know this sounds a bit like playing Clue, but I love board games. So this is a bit like Clue, but nobody's killing anybody. So you've got in the bedroom with the candlestick, with Colonel Mustard. No, it's like whoever you can pick, you can pick and have such a great variety. And that is part of the fun too. That is part of like the pick and play, what works for you. And you can do this to also spark, like, why would we create this? It's just to also wake up. It's to wake up a drowsy sex life. It's to invigorate one that's already pretty good, but could have some more love. And for people who are already out there outrageous, it can just be fun to play with your pleasure play kit and mix things around and have multiple combinations. It can kind of take off the stress of trying to find something new. If you just have multiple combinations, you might have 40 locations in your pleasure jar if you've done a lot and you love locations. You might have 50 different kinds of toys, and you might have like 50 different things you could wear. So you can have then multiple combinations in there, and your jars just be overflowing with ideas of fun. So we were talking about painting, and I kind of went off track in my ideas, of course. So I'm going to go back to the visuals, because we were first talking about sense, because sense do evoke a lot of different memory, and it can help be one of the things that helps calm your body down really fast, is smelling something that helps you feel comfortable. Breathing, and then regulating your breathing can do that too. But that's for another day. That can be part of your kit to like have some tantric breathing beforehand. And breath is important, so for sure, if you want to include that. And then we're going to look at the next part is the visuals, right? So what your partner's wearing, what you're wearing, what you can add to their body aesthetically, whether it's adding rope. And I love the look of really well tied ropes on bodies. To me is like incredibly sexy. So if you have ever looked up the Japanese art of rope knot tying, it's beautiful art. So that can be visually really stimulating. It can also be about removing sight and the ability to see what's going on. So blindfolds can be added to that. Adding visuals to the body with paints can be a lot of fun too. So just thinking about all the things you could paint on your partner, you can even just do beautiful designs and just enjoy the whole experience of painting their body with face paints or with edible food, not edibles, because that means something different these days than it did 20 years ago. So edible things that you can eat. You can use all kinds of things for that. You can make your own purees out of like strawberries and then paint on with that. They're not super vibrant, but they can add some interesting colors. You want to stay away from things that might stain your body unless you're into that. Like henna will stain your body. So if you're painting or drawing with henna, that'll stain. If you're using certain spices like turmeric, that'll also stain. So just being aware of what stains, what doesn't stain, what's easy to wash off. And if you are doing any activities with painting, you want to make sure that your bed is, or whatever surface the person is lying on or sitting on when you paint them, that surface is covered in towels, so it's not going to get wrecked. So painting, super delightful. The other things you can do to bodies is turn them into a charcuterie board. You could just be lying there and people put food all over you. People, I'm going plural, but person, your lover, could put food all over you and create a beautiful artwork of food on you that then is both visual and you can have the food experience. So I'm hoping that I gave you guys some pretty fun ideas for the visual part of your play kit, because you definitely want to have some things in there that are going to arouse you visually. Lighting can be that as well. So having different mood lighting, candle lighting as well. So lighting, all of those things, and even visually in the space, if you need the space to look clean in order to be turned on, depends on what you like to see. If you like to have it like an Arabian tent, putting up a whole bunch of different scarves can be helpful. And that can be in a kit too. So your room doesn't have to look like an Arabian tent every day, all day. But if it's in a kit and you have some thumbtacks and you can bop that into your wall, as long as wherever you live, people don't get mad about you bopping things into the wall, you can create some pretty cool scenarios in a space visually that can be a lot of fun. and just add a little zest, right? You could be doing all the same actions to each other's body that you've been doing forever, but now it's in an Arabian tent. How fun. As a kid, did you like making tents? I made tents all the time. Out of every piece of furniture and anything I could find, I would make living spaces, big and small, for everything, including myself and my dolls. So that, if whatever, usually whatever you liked as a kid actually is something that you're going to enjoy too later on, as long as it didn't get corrupted or something, or you were abused in a place that was really pleasurable for you. Alrighty, we're going to move on to our next ones because we only got through 2 senses, but these are all super helpful in developing your pleasure play kit and having all your things added. I'm going to show a few things after this break, so stick around. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Interested in masturbating for money, copulating for consciousness, and pleasuring on purpose? 21 Days of Sexual Magicism with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic is an exploration of tools, processes, and actions that you can use to create more for your life, your body, your money inflows, and so much more. Graduated learning for all levels of interest. Learn at your own pace via video classes or join the yearly live class. Take a peek at www.milicajelenic.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. Tonight we are talking about creating your own adult curiosity play kit. So why would we do this? Like, what crackhead has time to put together a play kit? Well, actually, it's not something you have to do in one night, for one thing. You may already have things that are part of a kit and you didn't even realize it. You may have things lying around your house that you never even considered part of a play kit. Like, one of my favorites is this beautiful rope that I actually got at a hardware store, and it's so soft and lovely. And I've created it into a bit of an impact play toy, but also it's very lovely to drag on bodies. So for those of you who are not getting this as a visual, it's a rope that's been tied into a sort of a whip. But you can absolutely untie that, use this rope to do some knot play, or even just having it around can be tempting. You can tie up just the hands, the feet. You can do an entire body bodysuit in knots. So that can be like super fun. Why do we do this? Is because things can get stagnant in relationships over time. And sometimes things get repetitive. And when things get repetitive, people often get either bored or lose interest. They walk away from it and they think, oh, well, I'm too old for that anyway. And that's not true. As long as you're alive and you are a sexual person, some people do not, they're not really inspired by sex at all. So they're more, maybe more romantic or not even at all. So they may, if you're asexual, none of this may be appealing to you. And that's totally cool. So generally, if you're asexual, you're probably not listening to this, but you might be, because there might be some things in here that you go, oh, actually, I'd really love to paint a body. And that sounds delightful and enticing. And I'd love to have my body painted. And that's all sensual. It's all a sensual experience that can add to your pleasure. So again, doesn't have to be penetration. So we've talked about smells because they're super important in being able to bring us to calm. And our smell and our taste are highly connected. So some of the things that you smell, you will also change the way certain things taste. And sometimes when you smell something, it doesn't taste the same as it smells. And so what we want to do is bring in some tastes that your body likes to taste. So you might just really love the taste of your lover's body, and awesome, go lick it up if they give you permission. You might want to add flavors. You might want to add fruit. Sometimes, people like to use these different warming oils that will both do warming and they have flavor. If you are using any oils that are flavored oils, they do not go internal. They can actually cause infections. What you want to do with those oils is rub them on places that are external, so not vaginal or anal. You can put them in your mouth a bit. I wouldn't suggest pouring it in your mouth. And I would highly suggest doing a test spot on the body first, very small, about the size of your pinky, the tip of your pinky. Do a test spot, see if the area that you want to put it on has a reaction. Wait about 10 or 15 minutes. And also, if you're using any of those oils, you might want to lick it first before you go use it, and definitely read the ingredients because sometimes there are allergens in those. So that's just like a fair warning. You can absolutely make your own things that are tasty. Strawberries are an amazing fruit to rub on the body because it can really juice up and you can get a lot of flavor from it. And you'll know the ingredients. It'll be strawberries. So other flavors you could add, like we talked about on the visual part, was chocolate. So that's a great and easy one. You can make your own sauce so you know exactly what's in it and it hasn't been sitting on a shelf forever. Those things can get pretty funky. But if you're just painting with it and washing it off, that's fine. Now, if you are eating it, I would think that the preference would be to have things that are things that you've made that are more natural, that you know the ingredients, because there are a lot of allergies out there today, and there are a lot of things, secret hidden ingredients that we're not always aware of. So making your own whipped cream instead of using the canned whipped topping stuff. Make your own. Takes about 5 minutes if you have a machine for that. If you have a whatever those are called, not a blender. You have a mixer. Yeah, it's a mixer. So you make your own whipped cream. Make your own of whatever you're going to use. It's a lot easier. And you can, like I was saying before, visually creating a body as a charcuterie board is beautiful to look at. Also, all that stuff would be edible. So again, making sure there are no allergies, because I've seen some really cool body charcuterie boards and they've had kiwi and different things on them and mango, but those are also can be highly allergenic foods. So of course, use foods that you're not allergic to, and the person that is having the charcuterie on them is not allergic to them either. So tastes are definitely something that can evoke a lot of emotion, and they can be very arousing, and they can also do the exact opposite. They can definitely be a turnoff. So testing some of this stuff in advance before you're bringing it into your pleasure play kit is a really good idea, so that you're not in the midst of having some really luscious moment and then you go to eat something and it's a total turnoff. if you are looking for more ideas on the eating zone, I've done a few shows about aphrodisiacs, aphrodisiacs for smell and for taste. I believe I specifically did shows on those. So you can check those out. There are a lot of different aphrodisiacs in the world, or what we believe are aphrodisiacs, which there is a whole question of, are they really? Do they actually increase hormones, or is it something that we've all agreed to? That's a conversation for a whole other day, though. So having things that you can taste, right? So the flavored oils for massage, the flavored lotions, anything like that, just check the ingredients, test it out, test out any food actually just before, make sure you're not allergic to having it on your body and that your partner's not allergic to eating it. Okay, so next on our hot list are things that we like to touch. So if, for example, you have your blindfold on and you can't see anything, you can have an entire experience of just touching things. You can feel different textures. So we can bring back that rope. You can feel different textures and just see how does that feel, and see how your body experiences just the touch of something or being touched by your partner. So all of these things in any respectful way need to be agreed upon in advance. So if there's touch going on, it's always important with any sex act. I want to be clear, because if you've never listened to the show before, I say it about 1,000,000 times, so I always figure, oh, I've said it enough. Consent is very important and communication is very important. So with your pleasure play kit, always there needs to be consent. Even if things are in that play kit that you've agreed on, that day when you go to pull out that play kit, check in and check and see, is it okay today? Because one day it might be just right okay to have handcuffs on, but the next day it's not okay. So check in with your partner if when something comes out, is that okay? Is it arousing? Does it turn you on? Because you want it to be okay, but you also want it to be arousing and to develop desire. And you also want it to bring pleasure, right? Pleasure, desire, and arousal, not the same things, but all important. So when you have these things that you can touch in your play kit, whether they're lovely silky ties, which feel amazing too, which you could rub on a body like any way you like. You can rub it around the person's neck. You could rub it around their arms and just be delightful with that. You can also use these as a blindfold. You can also use these to do different wraps around the body to tie in like a binding way, so that you can wrap up the body. I don't know if you can see that, but you can kind of tie and wrap things as in you can even tie and wrap genitals with this too, and just wrap it around, have fun. Super washable. This is literally just a piece of material that I got at, I don't know, one of those like accessory stores for like probably $2 or $3. So a lot of these things don't have to come from the sex shop. You can create a lot of these on your own. You could just pick a scrap piece of material from the fabric store, sew up the ends, and there you've got your silky tie, which is super delightful and feels great. So get the material too that you like the feeling of, and make sure your partner likes the feeling of it too, because if you have any sensory issues, then touching certain materials could set you right off as well and put you into definitely like a sexual inhibitor zone where everything feels off. So we want to make sure that everything that you're touching, the skin, the bodies, the hair, that things feel good to you. So, if there's like dry patches or if there's like bumps or whatever, and you're like, oh, that is like a put off for you, then what you can do, let's say if your partner has dry feet and you're kind of put off by them, offer to rub their feet with some great lotions. Actually, one of my favorite ones comes from the Body Shop. It's like a hemp lotion, and it's so great, and it's really moisturizing. So you can use different things to delight their body. It can be part of play, and it can also help their body relax into having more pleasure. So you can do many purposes with the play. And it, again, doesn't always have to lead to orgasms or penetration. It can just be for the sake of connection and play. What a delightful idea. So some of the other things for touch too are, you can bring in like different textures, leathers, but there's an entire method of learning to play with touch, which is called the touch blueprint. And it's a really lovely way of taking different items that are, you have around or you can purchase, and checking with your lover to see how they respond to different touches in different parts of their body. I recommend it for everybody who is new to a relationship or old to a relationship, because things change over time. Check in with your touch blueprint every once in a while and see how you feel, because it can be a lot of fun. I have done a show on the touch blueprint as well, so you can check that out too. So we got one more segment left of the show. So remember to come on back. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email. info@MilicaJelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. Tonight we're talking about creating a pleasure play kit, which I think everybody should have one of these, especially if you are new or old to a relationship and you would like to add some spice or just never have it go dull. We are talking about pleasure play kits, what we can add to them, definitely incorporating all of our senses to increase pleasure, desire, and arousal. And having a little kit, whether it's a box or something that you keep all your stuff in, is a great way to know where everything is. And sometimes these things are concepts as well. So having jars with ideas in them that you can pick out can be helpful as well. That's a little recap. So the one sense we didn't talk about of the 5 senses that are the common senses, but there are far more than that. So if you are listening, yes, I am aware there's more than 5. And so if we're looking at the other sense that I didn't talk about, it's hearing. And one of the things about hearing is that you might even just like the sound of things like being rubbed, touched. Some people just like the sound of penetration, that sloppy spaghetti and sauce sound. That's how I'll call it. Some people love that, just that sound of the sloppy spaghetti sauce sound of sex. They love hearing it. And also some other things that you might like to hear is moaning, groaning, sexy words, naughty words, just like feeling into like, what do you want to say and what naughty words do you want to say to your lover? And so if you haven't said any and you feel uncomfortable, you can practice with different ones. Like you might want to write them down, and I'm not going to say them on here because I don't want this show to get what's like off of YouTube. So YouTube's been a little bit fussy lately, so we're going to keep it simple to I love your genitals, but you can fill that in with an expletive for sure if you want to say something far more naughty. Because I love your genitals is really sweet, but it's not so sexy. You know what you can fill it in with. Fill in whatever word you want to put in there. Fantastic. You can also do words of affirmation if you're one of your partner's top love languages happens to be words of affirmations. Tell them how amazing they are and how grateful you are for them, that they're in your life, and how brilliant they are, and give them examples of how brilliant they are and what they did that was so brilliant. Because it's one thing to say somebody's brilliant, but then to give an example of it, like, you were so brilliant when you A, B, C, D, E, F, G did this. And they're like, oh, cool, you see me, you actually see what I'm doing. That's super helpful. So words of affirmation can be super sexy. Also naughty words, and also hearing things like music in the background that can turn you on, relax the body, get you going as well. Relax and get going can be kind of the same. For me, there's a lot of music that both gets my heart pumping, but also totally relaxes me at the same time. It's kind of wild because it's playful, and play will do that. It will get you a bit excited and a bit calm at the same time. And we want to do more play because play is incredibly healing. And it's one of the ways that you can start to heal from stress and trauma is to bring in play, not make things so darn serious. So like I was saying, bring out some bubbles, blow them around, just have some fun. Bring out some tools like some masturbation sleeves, add them into your life. Remember to clean your toys properly for sure. You can also bring out some of this wax that you can actually pour onto your lover. It's really safe wax, so it doesn't get super, super hot. It won't burn the person. It'll just add some heat for some hot cold play. And that's great for sensory reactions. Bring out the vibrator, or vibrators if you have many. I have many. I'm not going to show you all of them. But having the access to all of them is a lot of fun. Having them in a kit is fabulous as well. Maybe you've got some butt plugs you want to bring out, maybe your ropes, maybe your scents. Have it all available and really easy to access. And you can just close your eyes, put your hand in the bag. This is what we're playing with tonight. Put your hand in the jar. This is our location for tonight. Put your hand in the other jars and see what else you can add. Just remember that this purpose of this is to have fun. And wherever it takes you, if it leads you to laughter, fantastic. If in the middle of it, it brings something up, like some memory, take the time, stop, honor that, and say, you know what? I just had this crazy memory come up. It was kind of weird. I just kind of need a break to be able to deal with that. You can also take the breather, come back and try something different. You don't have to go back to the same thing. Sometimes the things we're attracted to, we don't know why we're attracted to them, but sometimes we're attracted to them because we know sort of subconsciously that they're going to trigger things so we can heal whatever we need to heal. For those of you who love the show and are looking forward to next week, we're going to be looking at an exploration of pleasurable touch. So we're going to get more into the whole touch arena with that. We talked about some of the different touch things today with textures and stuff, but we are going to talk more deeply about and it's not my method, so I'm not claiming it, but I really respect and honor the method of the touch blueprint, and I'm going to talk more about that next week. So if you don't already have your pleasure play kit, what are you waiting for? I bet you have a few things lying around that you could already add to it. I bet somewhere you've got a tie in your house, whether it's like a tie that you would wear with a suit, you can use that for all kinds of play. Maybe you have some spare material lying around that you could make something. You could, you probably have some lingerie or something as well. It's really, all of this stuff is to add more fun, and it's not to make it daunting. Like, if it feels daunting, just take a step back and you can do some self-evaluations on, like, what is it about play that's so daunting? A lot of times you might find that play is daunting because you've experienced so much stress and trauma that you don't actually know how to relax. So it takes a while to learn how to do that. And by all means, if you're struggling with that and you'd like some facilitation or assistance, you can book a 15-minute freebie with me. I give 15 minutes away to anybody. You need to let me know why when you write down what you're booking for. You can find my booking link on milicajelenic.com. That's milicajelenic.com to book a time with me. If you're booking anything over 15 minutes, I do charge, so beware of that. And remember that this is all about experimentation and play. So make sure that you're creating a space that's playful and fun, both for yourself and for your lover, because I know you can do that.
Thank you for listening to The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. The Pleasure Zone returns next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.